Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. So Terry Mclaurin just spoke to the media today. He is not happy. He talked about a bunch of different things the last time the Commanders contacted him, which was a long time ago, if he will hold out for training camp, and much more. So we're going to talk about that in today's video. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and that notification bell as well. Less than 40% of you guys who watch are subscribed. It's free, takes 1 second. But let's get past the BS. Let's talk about this because this is a lot of really important stuff, and I'm not going to play all the videos, but I'm going to talk about what he said, and then also I can link it at the end, or you guys can just go to these Twitter accounts and go ahead and watch the video. I might play it at the end. But basically, Terry Mclaurin, they have the Eastern Automotive or whatever. It's basically the sponsorship that the Commanders and their players have. You see the commercials all the time during the season, and Terry went, which that's a good sign. But afterwards he talked to the media, and it just he's very frustrated, and this is what you expect when he's talking to the media during a contract dispute, and especially after some of the things he said. It makes sense why he has the tone that he has, which is a frustrated tone. And this is going to happen usually during a contract dispute. It's I was seeing Rio tweet about it, and I agree. It's kind of that stage of air all the laundry out and just talk about the situation, and we're kind of in that stage of the whole process. So there's different stages. So this is what Terry said. He says, "I've been pretty frustrated. I'm not going to lie. Everything that has transpired to this point has been pretty frustrating and disappointing." He said some other stuff, but that in itself, he's mad, he's frustrated, and let's talk about some other things. So he's told reporters it's disappointing there hasn't been progress on a new contract, and says there has been no discussion since his minicamp holdout, but no trade request as of now. I want to be here. I want to make that abundantly clear. And in one of those clips, he was talking about, this is all he's ever known. He wants to be here. He's been here for a while. His wife's here. They just bought a home. He wants to be here. That's not the question. But he said he wants to feel valued. And right now, he's not feeling valued. And not having contact since minicamp is crazy work by Adam Peters, in my opinion. And I'm not necessarily judging Adam Peters. I think he has a plan at the end, but no contact for a month. I don't know. Again, gotta trust him. He's getting paid the big bucks, and he's made a lot of good decisions. I don't know if that's the right move, but only time will tell. He said he hasn't heard from the Commanders on the extension in over a month without any progressive discussions. I don't see how I step on the field. And that is, that's a big statement. That's a big statement to have from your star receiver. And for him to say without any progressive discussions, I don't see how I step on the field. Again, that right there, that's a lot. That's a lot that he's saying. And let's go over, because did start recording a few minutes. Let's see if there's any more news that came out. He said he hasn't decided if he'll report to training camp next week. He's taking things day by day, so we're just gonna have to wait and see on that. But the way things are going right now, I don't know if he's coming to training camp. At this point, I would say the odds are against it, and that isn't good. That isn't good. You want to see your star player there, and but it takes two sides to tango, and for the team not to talk to him in over a month, I mean, you can't fault Terry for being frustrated, for being mad. I mean, that makes sense why he is mad and frustrated about this whole situation. I'm just sorry if I'm not making eye contact. Just scrolling through, making sure I didn't miss anything. And we'll go back here to Jordan Schultz. And I know he posted something just now, so we'll go to that. So he said it's not great, it's not good at all. That's what Terry said. And, this is the first time he's talked about it in a long time, and he's frustrated with the lack of communication over the past month. I think it would be one thing if over the last month and a half, 2 months, they've been back and forth about the contract, and maybe they're off on the numbers, but both sides know where they're both at and that they want each other. They want each other, and that hasn't happened. And for the last month, they haven't contacted him, and that's I don't know. Again, I'll leave it to Adam Peters because he is the guy, and we gotta trust him. But this is not good news. It's not awful news. It's not super surprising. I think the biggest eye-opening thing is over a month since contact. For me, that's a little bit crazy. I would expect, this is a priority. This is your franchise player. Jaden Daniels is the number one guy, but Terry McLaurin's right after that. And, Terry's been here for a long, long time, and you want to keep him here for longer. I think, again, over a month is crazy, and I would have liked to have at least a little bit of back and forth going between, mini camp and training camp. I think having it done before training camp, that's the ideal scenario. I mean, the ideal scenario would have been to get it done a while ago. But getting it done before training camp and not having it be a distraction during training camp, that is the ideal scenario. You don't want two things could happen. One, he goes to training camp, which is if a deal isn't done before then, that's the best scenario. He goes to training camp, but it will be a distraction. It will be asked every day after practice. Number two, he doesn't go to training camp and it becomes a distraction. So either way, it's not good unless a deal gets done. I did see a tweet about, JP Finley was saying that Terry's agent is on the phone, is talking a lot. I doubt they're talking about numbers right now. Like, they haven't had contact in a month, and on the day that Terry's doing this commercial shoot, they're talking. I don't know, maybe, but his agent's probably a busy guy, and there's a bunch of different things he could be getting a phone call from. Could be, his own personal life, but then also, Terry has a lot of things that he's doing. He just got back from vacation, from Italy. Looks like he had a great time. And, he's got to catch up on some stuff. So maybe it's workout stuff. Maybe it's endorsements. Maybe it's, personal stuff for Terry. So I don't know. But this is, it's crazy it's gotten to this point, but again, you can't be too surprised with, with everything, because this is how contract negotiations work. But I know some people, and myself included, were like, what, it would never get to this point with Terry, but hey, here we are, and it's just a matter of time. I was going to make a Garrett Wilson video and why I think that contract is good news for the Commanders. I might still make that, so might drop that tomorrow, but this was a lot of new stuff that definitely needed to be talked about, so I decided to talk about that. Some other news, Frankie Luvu, not going to make a video about that, so I'll talk about it right now. He was ranked as the 5th best off-ball linebacker in the NFL, so shout out to Frankie Luvu, one of my favorite players on the team, probably top 3, definitely top 5, and glad to see him get his respect. And that was a great deal by Adam Peters and company. He's on the team for this year and another year. That's one I would get an extension, going on for Frankie Luvu. Pay him what he wants. He deserves to get a lot of money. He's one of the better linebackers in the league. Executives, coaches, and scouts believe he's top 5. Whether you believe he's top 5 or not, he's one of the better linebackers in the league and deserves to get paid. So I would say work on that in the next season-ish, because you want to get ahead of these things. Not only so you avoid stuff like this, but the earlier you pay guys, the better it looks for you in terms of how much money you're going to have to pay them. Because the longer you wait, the more you are going to have to pay them 99 or 95% of the time. Unless someone gets hurt or they fall off completely, the more guys that get paid, the more they're going to be resetting the market, the more the cap's going to go up, and it's just like, pay these guys early. And, teams, a lot of the times they don't, but the best teams do. So hopefully Adam Peters is able to get this done and learn from it and, get some of these other deals done a lot earlier than he got the Terry McLaurin deal done. But that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Just an update for y'all. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.